All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Early Care Connection. I'm Izzy Greenberg. Today we are joined by our resident panel of experts, Meryl Gay from the Connecticut Early Childhood Alliance and Ava Bermudez-Zimmerman from the Child Care for Connecticut's Future campaign. First, I want to thank Sandra for providing interpretation for us and just remind everyone to speak slowly and use fewer acronyms if possible, so that Sandra has a simpler time interpreting for everyone. We have a lot going on this morning. As winter approaches, we wanted to make sure that everybody had the tools necessary to think about energy efficiency and savings. I know electric costs are going up and up and up. And so today we've got folks from a solar company here and from the CHIP program to talk about energy efficiency. So that's what we're going to do. I will introduce people in a moment, but first I just want to turn it over to Meryl and Ava, who have some updates for you, announcements, and just a reminder to use the chat if you have technical difficulties or things that you want to say to the community. If you have questions for our guests, please put those into the Q&A. It's not easy for me to monitor everything all at once, and the Q&A does help. Okay, so first I'm going to turn it over to Meryl.
Okay, well, I've got two announcements. The first is that the provider survey that we're doing, this is the fourth in a series that provides us with the information that we need to talk to the press and to work with legislators in trying to get some more funds for the early care system. That survey is about to close, so if you haven't filled it out yet, I'm going to put the link into the chat. If you could click on it and have that window open to be able to do after the call, that would be great. And there we go. The other message that I wanted to give is that facilities project, the facilities grants that Liz Fraser has been working on, they will go live this afternoon. There's a month-long application. There's no benefit for getting your application in today. It's much better to make sure you've got a good, thorough application. Liz will be on at 10:30 to talk a little bit about the application and some tips for how to fill it out. And I think they're going to do a webinar for folks who missed the earlier webinar about it. But that's on at 10:30.
All right, thank you. Next up, Ava, if you've got some announcements, go ahead.
Yeah, for those of you who missed the Blue Ribbon Panel meeting in person or the recording, don't fret, we have the recording link right here. We're going to put it in the chat right now. We will also, on behalf of CCSCT, we'll be able to share with you just a recap of the current recommendations that currently exist. But what we did find out in the live meeting is that the final version of the Blue Ribbon Panel, I know most of you have been really waiting on the edge of your seats to see what changes they have in mind, should be out in about 2 to 3 weeks, that final version. If you do watch the recording, you're going to see a preview, but if you're anticipating going online to read what the panelists have, it's still not public, so the recording is the only connection to that version. So just, we all got to sit tight and wait for the final to be out there.
All right. Thank you, Ava. Okay, so first up, we have Dave Noonan, who is a solar consultant with Sunrun Solar, which is a national company. He's here to talk about solar, the benefits, and the savings that you can achieve by going solar. So I will say for everyone that we are we're not endorsing any company. We wanted to bring you folks who could give you information on the benefits, on the savings, on what the process is like. And if you want to follow up, then great, we will give you contact information as well. So I just want to say that on the front end, but also we're really grateful to Dave for being here to share his expertise and knowledge with you all hopefully some people can get some benefit from it. Welcome, Dave. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good morning, everybody. I'm Dave Noonan. I'm from Sunrun Solar. A little bit about myself. I've been a professional photographer for the past 15 years, particularly in the wedding world. I was a wedding photographer and commercial photographer. You know, the wedding industry took a pretty big hit with the pandemic. And last year, I decided it was time for a career change. I've always been very passionate about the environment and science, and solar really was the right choice for me. When the utilities here in Connecticut last year decided to double their rates, right, the supply rate on the electricity end went from 12 cents to 24 cents. That was alarming, and that was when I realized that I wanted to start a career in solar. So after a lot of research, I decided to start my career with Sunrun. And the reason why is because we're actually the largest residential solar provider in the US. We're in 23 states, including Puerto Rico as well. Sunrun has been in business for 17 years. We're a publicly traded company. And we have a great partnership with Costco. So I don't know if anybody shops at Costco, but you may have seen our Sunrun employees inside a Costco generating leads for myself. And what I do is I go into people's homes and I really do a solar report and to see if solar makes sense for them. We also have a great partnership with Home Depot and Ford as well. The new Ford F-150 Lightning electric vehicle, that will become our whole home battery solution. So if you're, if you have that vehicle and you park that in your garage, you can not only charge the vehicle from your solar system, but if we lose the grid, right? If the grid goes out, that vehicle will power your home up to 3 days, which is pretty amazing. That's a new thing. It's in beta testing right now. It hasn't been released, but it's pretty amazing. So I'm going to go over a couple things about solar. I'm going to try to keep it very simple because it is really simple. We're not going to the moon here. We're simply using the sun as your primary source of power rather than the corporate monopoly utility, right? So what's required to go solar? Well, sun hours, right? You need a certain amount of sun hours on your roof in order to offset your energy cost with solar panels. Besides that, you're going to need some surface area on your roof as well to put panels in there. One of our most popular options of going solar, you have really two options. You can purchase the solar system, which costs a lot of money, and that's kind of counterintuitive to what we're discussing today, right? So the most popular option is the lease or the PPA, the power purchase agreement. And what I'm able to do is we put solar panels on your home. And if your home qualifies, you're able to go solar at no cost to you. You're simply trading in the corporate utility monopoly, right? Their high rates, which by the way, they're due to raise announce their new rates. Usually they do it mid to late November. So we're going to be in for a surprise again. We're talking about going up to most people paying 40 cents per kilowatt hour, which is just ridiculous. With the lease or PPA option, if your home qualifies, Sunrun will actually install the system on your home at no cost. And most of my customers save between 30 to 60% off their energy needs simply by switching over to solar. Okay. The bottom line is right now, if you're with the utility, which is in Connecticut here, it's Eversource or UI, you have no control or predictability over your energy costs, because whatever they say that rate is going to be, you have to look at that utility bill, right? Your Eversource bill or your UI bill. It's really just a ransom note, because if you don't pay that bill, what happens? They cut you off. So by going solar, you're going to have control and predictability. And I'm able to tell my customers exactly how much they're paying for their energy right now with the utility. I can tell them exactly how much they'll be paying by switching over to solar. I can tell them exactly how much they'll be paying next year for their energy needs, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, because now you're going to have control and predictability. okay? And protection from future rate increases from the utility, okay? Does anybody have any questions at this point?
Yes, we do have one question, which is that you're speaking about people's homes, and folks are also interested in hearing about commercial properties, if that's something that you can speak to.
Great. No, that's a good question. So Sunrun only does residential. Okay. We don't do any commercial installations here. And we only do roof mounted solar. So sometimes people will see fields, ground mounts of solar panels. We don't do that here in Connecticut. Certain markets Sunrun does, but in Connecticut, it's strictly roof mounted solar and strictly residential. In order to qualify for the program, all you really need is to be on the title of the home. Okay, you need to own the home. Unfortunately, we can't work with people who rent, but we could give a good referral. You could give a good referral to a landlord, say, to see if solar makes sense for them as well.
There's a few questions also in the chat, which is first is, can you put solar on a cedar shake roof?
No. So a cedar shake roof is disqualified. Really what we're looking for is, comp shingle, your everyday roof, right? Or rolled comp. We will install on some certain rubber roofs that are flat and standing seam metal as well. But, those are things that are further down the line that I can qualify for. But cedar shakes are a no-go. Yeah.
How long are the leases typically, and what happens at the end of it?
So the lease is 25 years. At the end of the 25 years, we would either come out, plug up any of the holes and take the system away, or you can simply sign on and get all new equipment.
So you have to you turn the equipment in at the end of the lease.
Yes, and just to I want to go off that just a little bit. If you are in the lease and you own the home, let's say you want to sell the home in 5 or 10 years, we guarantee the new homeowner is qualified to assume the lease. And we have a whole department dedicated to bringing that to closing and dealing with the brokers and realtors on that. Solar is very advantageous right now. It adds about 10% value to the home without your home actually being reassessed at a higher rate.
All right.
And I want to add, if anybody has electric heat or heat pumps, at this point, you pretty much have to go solar to offset those high costs, because what happens is Eversource and UI, all the utilities, charge their highest rates from January 1st to July 1st. So you're heating your home during those winter months. Those people get really, really, they pay a lot, to have electric heat during the winter months.
What if you own a commercial property? I assume that there are folks who will install on a commercial property, just not your company, but that is something that happens.
Correct. And one thing to realize too is that commercial utility rates are much lower than the residential rates too. But yes, Sunrun does not work in the commercial space, but I have plenty of associates that I can refer people to that can help out commercial.
Okay, excellent, great.
Commercial customers as well.
How heavy are the panels? Does this make any difference in what homes can get solar?
No, that's a really good question. So panels weigh, depending on the manufacturer, somewhere between 25 and 38 pounds. One of the processes involved in going solar is a pretty thorough inspection of the home that I can get my customers signed up for if they're serious about going solar. There's no obligation to that, and it doesn't cost any money to get that survey done. But it does allow you to know whether your home will qualify to go solar, and if you're able to go at no cost. And by the way, in certain cases, in certain jobs, we're able to subsidize a portion of the cost, right? So if a roof fails, we're able to sometimes subsidize up to $10,000 towards a new roof in order to go solar as well. I don't like to lean in on that because I'm not selling roofs here. I'm simply here to help people save on their energy costs.
Mm-hmm. I think there's also, let's go back a little bit, because there's a question here, which I think is a great question, which is, will homes with solar have power if there is a power outage? So how does how does that work? Because I think there's some misunderstandings about how does the power get to, I mean, that's a complicated thing, and having the battery storage and all that. That's a whole other level, right?
It is, yeah. So that's actually a really great question. So in Connecticut, the battery is not a very popular choice. As you know, I think it was 12 years ago, last week, we had that snowstorm in October, and many people lost their power for sometimes 10 days at a time. And if you remember the August before that, just a couple months earlier, I think it was Hurricane Irene, right? So people lost power for, I know I was out of power for 16 days over a 45-day period because of those two storms. Most people have generators here in Connecticut. The batteries are still very expensive, but if you do choose to add the battery to your system, you will have power in case the grid goes down. Otherwise, you can go solar without the battery, and it's simply going to be more affordable, but the solar system does go down when the grid goes down for line safety, right? It's a national or it's a federal regulation, right? If your home is producing power, you're actually backfeeding power back into the grid, and it's for lineman safety. If they're up on the pole, it would potentially kill somebody. So yes, you would need a battery backup in order to have power during a grid outage.
And so we've got a lot of questions here. I'm just going to keep going through them,
Cool.
if you don't mind.
I'm here for it.
Are the panels connected to each other or are they individual? So as an example, if one panel fails, does it ruin the system? How does that work? And then what happens in terms of fixing a panel if something does go wrong?
Yeah, so we're talking about the Christmas light effect, right? If one light goes out, they all go out? No. We use micro string inverters that avoids that. So if one panel goes down, you're just losing production on that one panel, and the rest of the system works properly. With the lease, what we have is a 25-year system maintenance and repairs. Everything's covered in it. We're going to insure the system. Remember, Sunrun would be owning the system. So we have a production guarantee. We're going to guarantee your power for annually, right? And for the term of everything. If something were to go wrong, Sunrun actually monitors the system, and we would send a technician out to fix or repair anything because of that production guarantee, which is also something that we don't have with the utility, right? We have no guarantee of our power.
Okay. Someone is saying that their holdup in their family is how old or damaged solar panels are ultimately disposed of or recycled, and what the environmental impact is of the panels themselves. And so I think as folks are considering, well, one, the environmental impact, I know you've spoken a lot about cost savings, but for folks who are interested in the environmental impact of burning fossil fuels versus the materials needed to build the batteries, how they're ultimately disposed of, are there toxic things, what happens over the life cycle? Can you discuss that at all?
So Sunrun has a really great recycling initiative for the solar panels. I can get more information on that, but we've been working in this space for about 3 years on the recycling end of it, which is really great. The battery, I have some challenges with the battery myself, as far as conflict minerals involved with cobalt. Again, the battery is not it's not a common practice for people to purchase the battery with their system in Connecticut. I can go over a lot of that, but a lot of it I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but a lot of it has to do with the net metering program that we have in Connecticut, meaning that when you're overproducing your power, instead of storing the extra energy that you've produced that you're not consuming in a battery, you're actually storing that as a banked credit with the utility. But that's something for a one-on-one consultation that I can get in more, because we can really get into a deep rabbit hole with that.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so and then I know I have solar myself, and I know one of the big considerations for me was that the trees around my house actually keep my house cool. And so taking out trees to put in solar felt a little bit counterproductive for me personally. At some point, the situation changed and it made more sense. But You know, for folks who have trees, it's also very expensive to take out trees.
Mhm.
How do you guys, you know, is the homeowner responsible for taking down the trees if you're going to install panels? And how do you assess that? And how would you also assess not just the expense of tree removal, but also, you know, how much hotter your house might be without that shade, as an example?
Yeah, so that's tricky living in Connecticut in the Northeast, right? We have a ton of trees, right? Not everybody qualifies to go solar, but I have some customers that we're able to build them a system that would produce, say, 20% of their power just from solar. And they're still reliant on the utility for 80% of their energy. And it makes sense for them just to be able to control 20% of their power, knowing, going forward. But, trees are a problem. Not everybody can build a solar system that would do 100% of their energy, but I'm able to help folks across the board.
And if someone needed to have trees taken out to put in solar, is that typically the solar company that helps with that, or is that the responsibility of the property owner?
And that really depends. Yeah, that really depends. In some cases, we can subsidize a portion to help out with the tree removal. But again, we're not a tree company, we're not a roofing company. But if the job has enough scope to it, yeah, in certain cases, we're able to help out with some tree removal to build you a solar system that would do 100% of your energy as well.
Got it. I live in a community that has a board and they're not allowing solar since all the homes look alike. Is this legal? Is there any restriction on that kind of thing in Connecticut?
That's a gray area. So I know I've heard conflicting things there. HOAs are tough, right? Anybody that tells you you can't paint your door purple, that's a tricky situation. Homeowners associations can be tricky. But I will say that, a lot of the HOAs are coming around, right? I know that realtors have really taken a big shift in the past 5 years where solar is actually advantageous to a home purchase. But HOAs, they'll come around. You have to remember that in Connecticut, only 3.5% of homes actually have solar at this point. You can go right across state line to Massachusetts, and they're at 13.5% solar. California, any new construction, it's a mandate. You have to have a portion of your home solar. So this is where we're going. And the federal solar tax credit has actually been extended all the way to 2032, whereas it was supposed to de-escalate each year by a certain percentage point. Now it's still the 30% tax credit all the way through 2032.
Yeah. What's an example of a typical monthly lease cost versus a typical utility cost for a qualifying home?
So monetarily, I can't give you that because every home is different and every family is different. I will say that if you have extremely low usage, you're paying a higher rate than people that have higher usage. Okay, so people who have electric heat are being price gouged on just the basic charge to have a meter. It's called the distribution customer service charge on your utility bill. Regular homes that are heated by oil or natural gas or gas, they pay $9.62 monthly for that. Electric heat users and heat pump users pay $28.42 for just a standard charge on their bill. Okay. I got a little bit off track. Can you just reel me back in with that question again?
The question was, what's an example of a typical monthly lease cost versus typical utility cost for a qualifying home?
So most customers are able to save between 30 to 60% off their bill. Monetarily, I can't give you that because I had a customer the other day show me his electric bill and it was $1,500 for the month. Some homeowners, it's $100 per month. But I will say that the lower the usage, the people that pay $100 per month with their electricity on the utility, they're paying a much higher rate. They're probably paying close to 42 cents per kilowatt hour, whereas most people in Connecticut are averaging about 35 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay. I'm able to lock people in closer to the 20 cents per kilowatt hour.
And your company doesn't do sales, it's only lease?
No, we do sales as well. Yeah.
You do. Okay, so
2% of my customers this year have actually purchased the system. 98% of customers in Connecticut choose to lease it.
yeah, I think now I'm might be remembering wrong, but I think we purchased it and I think our loan amount basically was the same as our electric bill average, so that it kind of on a monthly basis evened out a
Yeah.
little bit. And that worked for my family.
Typically, if one chooses to purchase a system, the ROI on that is usually about 8 years. And what you're doing is really buying your own green utility that's on your home, you know?
Yeah, that's what ours was. Yep. What is the cost of removal either during or after the lease ends? So, and that maybe goes into a little bit more if you do a lease, let's say it's 25 years, at
Yep.
the end, do you guys just take them down? And what is the shape the roof is left in? Does a person have to pay for either roof repairs or the removal of them if they choose not to go past the 25-year mark?
Yeah. So the roof, we do have a roof warranty, right? So not many solar companies do have a roof warranty, but we do have that. At the end of which say we choose a lease option, right? At the end of the 25 years, Sunrun will come out and remove that system and patch everything up just like new at no cost to the homeowner. Okay. If you decide that you no longer want to be in the lease once you've signed on for that 25-year agreement, you do have the option of purchasing the system anytime after year 5. Okay. And what we do is we're going to send out a third-party appraiser. Whatever they say that system is worth, we'll honor that price to the customer. Otherwise, it's just like any other lease with a car. You have to buy yourself out of that lease. But, do you want to be paying 22 cents per kilowatt hour currently, or 50, 60, 70 cents per kilowatt hour 10 years down the line? That's the thing that you have to look at to see if solar makes sense for you.
And do the panels, I'm sorry, Ava, I see your hand up. I'm just going to ask this last question and then I'll go to you. Do the panels have a lifetime that is longer than 25 years if you do ultimately purchase them? And then what is needed to maintain them? Do they need to be cleaned? That kind of thing, if it does go long?
Good question. So with the lease, we have a full, everything will be serviced. If we're not hitting production numbers, we're going to be triggered to come out and service the panels. Sometimes moss grows, right? We'll come out, power wash the panels, clean them. There are panels that are in space that are over 50 years old that are still currently working. But generally, panels are great. They don't lose any efficiency up until about year 23. They start degrading by about 0.5 percentage point per year. But, again, we're not going to the moon here. It's very, very simple. Solar panel technology is not changing rapidly. What really is the inverter. The inverter is what converts your DC to AC power. Again, that gets very technical, and that's more of a one-on-one type of situation that we can get into.
Ava.
I was wondering, when it comes to someone deciding not to install a brand new roof when they're going to install solar panels, there could be a scenario where your roof, the life of your roof is over and you did have panels on top. What happens then? What happens when you need a new roof and there's panels on top? Who removes them? And then you hire a new roofing company to do the roof, and then who's putting the panels back together?
Yeah, it's a great question. So one of the very, very important things that we do as soon as we decide that you like to go solar is we do a very thorough inspection of the roof, and we're going to make sure that the roof is actually installable, that we're going to pass codes, right? We're going to take a look at your electrical system, your roofing system. But getting past that, let's say something happens where a tree falls. Okay, a tree falls, damages the panels, damages your roof, and you need the panels removed in order to have your roofers put a new roof on your home. What we do is it's very simple. It's $165 per panel to remove, store, and replace them, or that caps at $2,000. So if you have more than 12 panels on your home, the maximum charge is $2,000. You call up Sunrun, we'll come out, we'll remove the panels, we'll store them, you'll get your roof replaced, right? And then we'll come right back out and put those on. Insurance would cover all of that. We would cover that. If the roof just fails on its own, that would be up to the homeowner to pay for that charge.
Couple other questions. And actually, Ava, what time is the next segment? I just want to make sure I don't go over.
We are slotted for 10 a.m., but the person is not here yet. They had a staff meeting, so I just texted her to see when we should expect her, so we can keep going.
Great. So we'll ask the next few questions then. And folks, our team knows a lot about early childhood stuff, not a lot about solar. And so didn't even realize that we should be asking if the company does commercial and residential. And so, you know, for folks who are really interested in the commercial stuff, we'll work to get somebody on to talk about commercial. And we apologize, but hope that you can get something out of Dave's expertise on solar generally. So just want to say that, you know, that's our ignorance on this topic. And so we're all learning together. Okay, back to it. Does solar always work? Are there instances where the solar isn't producing enough energy for the home? And I guess first, it depends on the system you buy. Is it big enough for your usage? But assuming you got a system that is big enough for your usage, are there things that either degrade the amount that it's producing, other than moss, right? It just needs cleaning. But does the different levels of sunlight during the day, are there other conditions that would make it so that it's not producing enough? And then this kind of goes into another question I see, which is, I have solar, why is the cost going up? And I would assume that that has to do with what they might still be getting from Eversource or their, you know, production, and that cost is still going up, right? I mean, how does that work? Two different questions.
Yeah, so just give me a bullet point. I'm sorry, on the first question.
The first one was, you know, depending on the sun, or what are the other factors that, other than moss, and the system size? So the system fitted for the home properly. But other than that, what are other factors that might make the panels not work as well?
So the solar industry is very, very regulated, right? And by the way, it's regulated by PURA and the local utilities, as well as the government. So the first thing that you need, right, as soon as you want to look into solar and you want to have a consultation, the first thing that the solar consultant will need will actually be your utility bill. Because in Connecticut, they'll allow us to size and build your system first of all, we need to base it on your past 12 months usage. So we need that utility bill. Here's what you can see right here. This is your usage here. I'm able to build a system that would produce up to 102% of your power for the past 12 months. Now, again, not everybody qualifies to produce 100% of their power. So it's kind of a tricky question to answer, because if I'm able to produce 50% of your power, yes, your usage is going to be different. But let's just state, for easy convenience, let's say I can build you a system that would do 100% of your past 12 months usage. What's going to happen is in June, July, and August, you're going to sometimes overproduce, sometimes up to 130% of your energy. And then where does that extra 30% of your energy go? You're banking it on the grid with the utility. So if you do need to pull power out, let's say we have a blizzard in February, right? Let's hope not, right? But let's say we have a blizzard and the panels are covered up for 5 days. Instead of pulling energy from the utility and you paying for it, you're just pulling it from the credit on your bill. Does that make sense? Because you've already produced energy and the utility is crediting it back to you at the current rate that they're charging customers.
Okay, yep.
This is called net metering, and it can be very difficult, but again, on a one-on-one consultation, I can thoroughly explain that.
There is a comment here that cloudy days did diminish things, but otherwise it's a great thing that they're happy they went solar. Mm-hmm. Rhonda's asking, do you install brand new panels on an installation, or do you recycle old panels?
We install brand new panels.
Are there cases where people decide to take them down after a few years, or do you find that folks, for the most part, are sticking with these systems? If they're taking them down, what are the things that might cause them to do that?
I've never had a customer even request removing their panels.
Well, easy, okay. Someone says that their roof's in rough shape, and they're kind of wondering what is the process when they have to think about their roof and how that works. I know you touched on it before, but is there a little more detail you could go into?
Yeah, so if you have a roof that's a little iffy, I mean, everybody knows, you know, a typical roof has a life expectancy of 30 to now the newer roofs are 45 years, right? Part of our inspection is to make sure that your roof is going to be good. If the job is profitable enough, again, we can subsidize a portion of a new roof. But it's something that the customer should be, you know, thinking about if they want to go solar. Yeah, you're going to want to have a structurally good sound roof there. Part of our inspection will qualify that. The other thing is, I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
That's all right. Wondering about rebates, how any of the solar credits or the rebates work. Do you need to have had an energy audit, or are there, you know, I don't know, what's out there for folks and how do they access it?
It's a great question. So part of this solar initiative in Connecticut is if you're going to move forward and go solar, in order to get installed, we actually have to schedule your home energy audit. We use CMC Energy as our primary energy auditor. Okay. Sunrun pays for all of those co-pays, and we do all the scheduling with the homeowner. And there are a lot of initiatives with that home energy audit that if you qualify financially, you actually will get qualified to upgrade your insulation, sometimes home, windows in the home to make it more efficient. But yes, that is part of the process. In order to get installed with solar in Connecticut, we need to schedule that home energy audit. That's part of it. And the second part of that question was,
I guess how do people know if they qualify either for the financing or for rebates?
Oh, right. Oh, the other part was the tax rebates, right? The tax credits. So those are only available if you purchase the system, and it's a 30% federal solar tax credit against your income tax, by the way. Now listen, I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not a tax pro in any way, but I just want to very simply clarify that because I do go into homes where other solar consultants had been out there, and there's a lot of confusion on it. And I've had little old ladies tell me that, hey, if I sign up to go solar, I was told that the government will cut me a check for $20,000. The government's not cutting anybody any checks to go solar. What it is if you decide to purchase the system, let's say you buy a $50,000 solar system, you'd be eligible for a $15,000 income tax credit. Okay, and that's a dollar for dollar amount against what you would owe on your income tax.
So you have to be a person who's paying $15,000.
You would have to have a tax liability
minimum.
Yeah. Correct. You would have to have a tax liability for it to benefit, and you can carry over that tax credit for 2 years. Okay.
Okay, so if you pay 7,500, let's say in taxes, you'd get that credit in year one, and you'd get another 7,500 credit in year two. But if you're a person who pays 3,000, let's say, in taxes, and I don't understand taxes well enough to know all of that either, and who qualifies for what. But if you have less, then you wouldn't actually be able to receive that full benefit. You'd only be able to get a credit for the amount of the income tax you pay up to 15,000. But if it's only 10,000, then you actually have a $5,000 benefit you're not able to use. Is that right?
Correct. And that's why the lease makes a lot more sense for a lot of people, because not everybody is walking around with a huge tax liability, you know. Mm-hmm. But yes, yep.
Somebody is asking, they say, I have solar. I've never seen anyone come to look at them, inspect them, clean them. Is that something that's a regular thing, or do you need to request that kind of stuff?
So Sunrun has a production guarantee, and we actually monitor the system. So we would be alerted if the system was not producing what we guarantee, and that would trigger us to send out a technician to repair, to, you know, diagnose and repair the system. Yes.
But if somebody owns, you might not be monitoring it in that way.
Correct. Correct. And there is an option to purchase the monitoring with the purchase of a system as well. But, you know, that just drives the price higher. But
I would
yes.
say if you have solar, you might have some, like I have an app I can look at to see if I'm
Mhm.
producing. And so whoever, Velma, if you are looking at your thing and you're seeing that it's not producing what you're expecting, you may want to contact the company and see, you know, what your company, I don't know who you're using, but, you know, see what they offer in terms of cleaning or monitoring or checking up, looking at the health of your system.
And
So,
Sunrun's app is called My Sunrun, and you're able to monitor your daily production. Yep.
right. Okay, why does the cost keep going up? So if you're, let's say the sun is producing as much sun every, let's assume the sun is constant, but the cost could still be increasing. Can you explain how the relationship to Eversource pricing might work? Let's say your solar is able to accommodate 50% of your energy needs, and you still have to buy 50% of your energy. The cost for that 50% will continue to change because Eversource is changing that. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's inflation, right? So we can look at, here's just the graph of average electricity prices in the US since 2010. And you can see there's seasonality involved, right? So by the way, Eversource and UI, they change their rates twice a year. January 1st, they always go to the highest rate. And then July 1st, they'll lower it during the summer. But typically, on average, across the US, electricity prices are going up 7.5% per year. Now, Connecticut, we just went up 100% last January, and we can expect that to be in that ballpark again this year. So, you know, inflation, right? Everything goes up. The cost of everything has gone up, especially, you know, we could put a magnifying glass on the past 3 years of groceries, gasoline, home heating oil, energy. Everything is going up. What we do is we give you control and predictability. And like I said during the consultation, not only can I show you exactly what you're currently paying annually for your energy through the utility, but I can actually show you how much you'll be saving your first year. I can show you exactly how much your energy costs are going to be 15 years from now. So you're going to have control and predictability and protection from the future rate increases.
Okay. Is the lease cost locked in for the life of the lease?
Yeah, so the most popular option is people choose to do the escalator. We have an option where you do a 2.99% escalator, where you're going to have a flat utility bill through your solar, through Sunrun, your first year. The first 12 months, you're going to have, instead of paying, say, $300 per month, we may get you in at $140 per month. So you're going to have that predictability instead of having that chart that goes up and down. And you didn't even know what you did in August until you got your bill in September that you had your air conditioning set too high. You know, you don't have that. So you're going to have that. And then the following year, it would go up 2.99%, where that $140 per month may be $143 or $144. And that's something that I go over with every customer during a consultation is I show them exactly how many years it will take them to get to the current rate that they're paying with the utility. And just so you know, most customers in Connecticut, it will take 15 years on that 2.99% escalator to get to the current rate that they're paying the utility now. And as the utility keeps raising their rates, that gap becomes larger and larger.
Got it. And then just to clarify, if you sell your home, let's say 15 years into the lease, you said that the next owner is guaranteed to qualify to take that over. But what if the person doesn't want solar for whatever reason? What happens then? Can they not sell the home to them, or I don't know what happens?
They would have to purchase out the, you know, the most common, or the thing that makes most sense you would purchase off the system, right? You would purchase it at fair market value and bring it to your new home, or, you know, you can sell it third party another way. But I believe, my opinion is, solar is the way we're going. As utility rates just are getting out of control every year, who wants to be spending 75 cents to $1 per kilowatt when they could be spending a quarter, you know?
And with your company, you can pay off the lease ahead of time, but it wouldn't make any sense because you then just return the pan. I mean, you return the panels at the end of the lease, or you own them at the end of the lease.
No, the Sunrun would come out and take them. Yeah. Yeah. Sunrun always would own them in a lease. Yep.
So if you buy them, you would have a loan theoretically.
Yeah.
That could be paid off early or no?
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
And then you just own them.
Yep. Yeah, you have the option of paying cash for it if you'd like to as well, rather than finance, because we know finance rates are out of control right now as well.
Okay, I think that we have, I think we've gotten all the questions done. I put Dave's contact information into the chat if folks have any interest in following up with other questions with him. Dave, thank you so much for your expertise and for coming to answer questions for us today.
Thank you. And I just want to say to anybody, if you'd like a free consultation, just send me your full name, your address, and we could take it from there. Email would be helpful too. I would definitely need a phone number so I can get in contact with you to schedule that appointment, but I'd be happy to come out to your home. And the only thing really, you're going to need a comp shingle roof, right? And you have to be on the title of the home. If you don't qualify for that, 65% of my business personally is done on referrals. I have a great referral program. So if you share my contact information, I'd be happy to help. That's my favorite thing about this job is I'm helping people with controlling their energy costs. And thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it.
Dave, before you go, do you or does anyone on your team speak Spanish?
We do have, I don't, but I have used Google Translate during consultations, and I have a great teammate that does speak Spanish that can help out as well.
Great. Okay. Thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Have a great day. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Okay, passing over to you, Ava.
So like as you mentioned earlier, apologies for not fully understanding the ins and outs of the solar world and not realizing that Sunrun as a company does not service businesses. But with that said, the state of Connecticut does have a website that lets you search for different retailers, including retailers that do service businesses. So for those of you on the call who own your own childcare space, I'm just gonna share on the screen here really quickly and share the link. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is the energizect.com website. Again, energizect.com website. It is it's a state of Connecticut website, so it's not sponsored by any particular company. It maps out for you the different type of energy solutions that you have. As Dave was presenting, I was going through it and making sure that I can navigate this in live time. What I found helpful is at the very tippy top, if you see here, well, one, it gives you an English and other language option. So for those of you who are Spanish speakers on the call and you want to read the content of this website in Spanish, just select Spanish as your language, and it'll go ahead and translate the website in live time so you can be able to read it. So you can see how I just clicked on that language option, and then it went ahead and translated the details on that page for me. So for the purpose of me quickly navigating this, I'm going to go back to English. On the top bar here, you can see that there is the option of find a professional. So find a professional gives you a distributor, it gives you contractors, it gives you retailers. So if those of you are also interested in installing panels or figuring out energy efficiency in your business, in your childcare space, and again, I'm assuming that the rules that Dave mentioned on today's call still apply, that you have to be the owner of that space. If you are not the owner of that childcare business, then you most likely have to have this conversation with whoever owns the actual building where you have your childcare set up. So once you have that agreement or arrangement with the owner of the space, or if you yourself are the owner of the actual space, then you can go ahead to the Energize CT website and look for a contractor, look for the different type of companies you might be interested in. Because the Energize CT website has all the types of vendors, it seems to me, just reading really quickly, it's not just solar on their page, it has heat pumps and different other options. You probably want to do some research as to what makes the most sense for you. And then once you figure out more or less which way you want to go, if it is indeed solar, you can put your zip code in. It's going to put Hartford for the purpose of this option. I'm going to put Hartford in. 06106 is a Hartford zip code. And you can see that automatically it popped up different vendors who do different services here, heat pump, and then they just list the different types of support that they provide. So this is an option for you when you're trying to figure out and search who could be helpful. As you can see, in just me putting the zip code of Hartford, the results that came up were 286 results, and then they have them in alphabetical order. They have heat pump, and then as you go, as you start looking for different options, you can see solar, you can see different heating and electrical opportunities to, energize your house and bring that cost down. So just wanted to go through that really quickly as an option. They also have very helpful resources for folks who are thinking of trying to figure out ways to save energy costs. They even have a renter's option. So for the family childcare providers on the call, yep.
I want to interrupt you because our next guest is here. So let's can we take a pause on this?
Absolutely. I'll just stop sharing and I'll pass it over.
All right. JoAnne, welcome.
Finally,
I know there were some technical difficulties, but thank you for sticking with us.
Okay, thank you for inviting me.
And so JoAnne, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and just where you're from, and you can just jump right in.
Okay, terrific. My name is JoAnne Balaschak, and I'm with New Opportunities Incorporated, and it's one of the 9 community action agencies in Connecticut. And what I think I'm here to do today is to talk about our energy assistance program. So do you want me to just start now, or?
Yes, and just as a reminder, to keep in mind, we do have a lot of folks here who are they're childcare providers of all different kinds. Some are in commercial spaces, centers. Some are home-based, working out of their own homes. And so if you have information for both, that's helpful, just to keep in mind.
Okay. Yeah, what we do, what would probably occur for most of the people in childcare. I mean, we cannot provide energy assistance to any childcare facilities. What this was, and I'm doing a presentation actually at New Opportunities. We have the Muriel Moore Child Care Center, so we're going to be, primarily, talking to the parents, caregivers, and the staff. And if they feel that they, would qualify for the energy program, we are going to go over and take applications. So, we would offer that. And I think any of the agencies, any of the community action agencies would, probably do that. And I think the majority of them also have their own child care facilities. But anyway, let me start with what we do provide. Energy assistance is a program where we are servicing people at 60% of up to 60% of the federal poverty guideline. And what we have, like a family of 4, let's say, would qualify at $79,910. It's actually 60% of the state median income. I'm sorry, I'm like really everything has happened this morning. But so anybody at that level, what we would do, we have different if someone comes in, they can heat with a deliverable fuel, they can heat with a utility. We help with, if somebody heats with gas or electric, they would receive a basic benefit of a certain amount, and then the utilities have certain programs that we would put the customer in and see if they qualified for, like, the matching payment program. There's a New Start program. The utilities have quite a few programs available to customers. And we're just lucky that we have a portal that goes right to the utility account, so we can put the customers that we're serving right into a program. So not only would they get a basic benefit, if the lowest income, their basic benefit would be this year $530, and the lowest benefit is $230. So what happens with that, though, with the utility, if they're matching payments, we put them into a certain payment amount, and the utility company will match what we pay and match what the customer pays. So it does benefit people that need the service and are eligible for the service. We also help people that are families that heat with a deliverable fuel, whether it's propane or oil. And what the difference is for people that heat with the deliverable, they would receive the $530 basic benefit, but also they could receive up to 2 crisis benefits at $410 a pop. So at least for people to heat with oil, they do receive a little bit more help. So that's something that we're kind of disappointed this year, because in the past couple of years, especially during the COVID times, the benefits were extremely high. And this year they've reduced them, and we're just hoping that the oil prices, we pay a certain price to every oil dealer, so it's not like we're searching for the lowest price dealer. We pay one price to every dealer, and last year when we started, it was at over $5 a gallon. And we start the oil deliveries November 1st, and the first day of deliveries, it was at $3 and some change. So, but I heard today it was the barrel price was increased to quite a bit. So that is the energy program. And then if you have customers or daycare parents that are living in a facility where their heat's included in the rent, they can also apply, and they can get a payment made to them. Then this year, it's been reduced to the lowest income to receive $125, and the higher income would receive $75. So basically, do you want me to give you some, like I said, a family of 4 would qualify at $79,910 or below. A family of 6, $105,481. So, and I could send this information to you. I wish I had a presentation that I give, do. But, we're in the process of doing that, but we haven't, we are so bombarded now. It's just incredible. We've, and now this year, and that's another thing, the Department of Social Services last year attempted to provide us with an online application process, and there have been quite a few improvements this year. So if anyone wants to apply, they could do an online application 4 in the morning if they want to. It would be on the Department of Social Services website. So they could go there and do the application right then and there. And if they don't have everything available to them at that point, they're given the opportunity to go back to that application afterwards. So that's probably the easiest. Well, we have an IVR, where we do automated phone appointments. So anybody calling our number in that we serve the 26 towns, Waterbury, and then we have an office in Meriden, we have an office in Torrington. But what I would do if anybody, I can send you the list of all the community action agencies and the towns they serve, so that you'll have that. And what I'll do is try to does she have the information?
Great.
Yeah, and so then you'll know they will know where to apply. And I'll send if they have automated application process, I'll send you the number that they would call to make. Not what happens with the IVR. The person would call to make an appointment. They're given a date and a time, and then we will call them back. And then they could either email us or mail us, whatever they want to do, whatever easiest for them, the application, and they'd sign that and all the documentation that we would need. And now the other thing is too, what DSS has kind of made it easier. If anybody is receiving SNAP benefits, any of the state benefits, they would be categorically eligible for the program. So, it's actually gotten much easier to apply for energy assistance. And, we're so happy about that. That's basically, I don't know if you have questions, but
no, that's great.
All this.
There was the only question that I have here is there any support for geothermal?
No, we ran, and I saw the Eversource prior to this, we ran the weatherization, the Department of Energy weatherization program, and we have been doing home energy solutions income eligible programs to people that qualify for energy. But we just did an RFP, and someone else received the award. So we're kind of not so happy about that, because we've always been in the weatherization program. But no, we've never, we'd love to get involved with geothermal, but I don't, it's quite expensive is what I hear. But and like I said, the majority of people, if we could get funding for that, that would be great. But the majority of the people we serve are very low income. So, it would benefit them, but unfortunately, it's not going to happen.
JoAnne, thank you so much for your time and for explaining that. I think we've got the list of agencies here, but if there's anything else that you have, you could send it to Ava, and we will post it on our website along with the recording of this.
Okay, I will send the guidelines and everything to you too.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. All right, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. And moving right into Liz, who is our next guest. Liz, welcome back. Great to have you, and you're launching today. So awesome. Tell us about it.
I know, finally, it's taken us a while. But today the application for the early childhood facilities construction and renovation grants will be open. It will be live at 1 o'clock today. We're putting in, and it will be available. Hold on a second. I'm just trying to put it into it's not letting me chat. I'll put it in the chat when I can. I don't know why it's not letting me put it in. It's in there. It's just not letting me load it into so everyone can see it. I'll do it in a moment. The website will have the link on it. And, and, the, and also the application, will be open at that point. And I apologize. I was just getting 4 flashing messages in front of me when I was saying this. I need to close my screen here. All right. Let me start again. The application will be open at 1 o'clock today. An information just went out on the listserv with all the information that you need to apply. There will be a webinar at noon today at lunchtime to show you how to use the application, especially the submit button and the saving button. It's just a little bit wonky on this particular platform. And so the submit button is huge, but if you submit it, your application is done. So we want to make sure that you don't submit that if you go on by yourself to the application, please read the directions that will be with it and make sure that you save your application if you want to come back to it later. I'm going to try and do this again with the chat. I'm reopening it. Who can see your messages? Recording on. Okay, everyone. I want everyone to see this.
Are you trying to do the CT Builds Childcare website?
Yeah, and
I
it's
just
not
put
going
it
in. Oh yeah, I don't know why it's not allowing me. It might let me do it to hosts and panelists. I don't know. Yeah, it's letting me do it to hosts and panelists, but not to everybody.
I did
So
it to
I'll-
everybody.
Okay, I'm going to also put in, this is the link to a webinar. Oops. A link, the webinar at noon today. Link, I'm going to try it again and see if this works.
If you put it in and it doesn't go to everyone, I'll send
Yeah.
it.
Try it again and see. Okay, it did this
Got it.
time. It's
Great,
working
and
now.
that's the noon webinar.
And that's for English speakers. There's one at 6 this evening. I'm going to put it in right now for Spanish speakers. Okay.
Great.
English speakers, Spanish speakers is the second one, and this will show you how to use the application in case you look at it and it's not and it's just too hard to use. And all this information will be on the website as well. And yep, Spanish at 6 p.m. tonight. And I'm going to send you this link to put into this flyer as well. Copied. I'm going to put the link in here, paste. All right, the link that I'm putting in now is the link to the actual announcement that went out. So all the information is also on there, and it is in Spanish too.
Great.
I don't think there would be any questions for this. It's just basically it's opening at 1 o'clock. There'll be a webinar at noon. We're really excited about this. We have over 500 people on our contact list, and we're hoping everyone applies. First of all, it gives you an opportunity to try to get one of these really wonderful grants. But the second reason is it also shows the dire need in Connecticut for expansion and for renovation projects for our providers. So we're hoping everyone applies. It's not that hard.
Thank you, Liz.
I know I have to close on a property, which will be using the basement. What do I do? If anyone, you can still complete the application. There's a question right on it that says, I have secured a location for my new center. The only thing that is different is that you won't have to put your license number in unless you have another place now that's licensed. It lets you pass that area. So we tried to think of every circumstance. We know that there'll be some that don't come up, but we have, you can ask us through our contact list. And that is questions. I think that's on the website too. It's on the website too as well. So I don't need to put that in there. It will just be too confusing.
All right.
Hey.
All right.
I think that's it, everybody. If you have any
Excellent.
questions, we'll be around, and we'll see you if you'd like to join the Zoom meeting at noon today. 1
Excellent.
o'clock, it will be on the website, and the application will be right at the top, right underneath the banner.
Yep, and 6 p.m. Noon for English, 6 p.m. webinar for Spanish speakers.
Yes, because I understand that many Spanish speakers, it's an easier time to come at 6 at night than it would be at lunchtime.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
thank you guys. Bye-bye now.
I am going to pass it back over to Ava. But before I do, I just want to remind folks that we are canceling next week in observance of Veterans Day. I actually think that Veterans Day observed is Friday, but hopefully you can pretend you're in our webinar Monday morning and have a hot cup of tea and try to have a little bit of your observance then too. So we are not going to be doing next Monday. The following week, we're going to be talking about the kindergarten start age on November 20th. So just wanted to make sure I got that in there before we wrap up. Ava, I think you had a little more to go through.
Yeah, I'm just going to take 5 minutes to finish up the review of the CT, Energize CT website, and then I'll show you how to quickly navigate the assistance CLIP, I believe it's pronounced CLIP or CHIP program, the Energy Assistance Program. And then I'll pass it back to you to wrap up, Izzy. Okay, so let me share my screen. I will say that now that we found out not all programs are accessible to businesses, that we will do our due diligence and research to see programs that do help businesses. I know that I've met the director of the CT Green Bank, and they do assist businesses. So we'll make those connections happen, and hopefully before the end of December, when it starts getting really cold, we can do another presentation on heating, specifically for those of you who have business properties that you want to do energy efficiency changes. Okay, so back to Energize CT, we were at renters. For those of you who are family home-based providers and you're renting out your space, there are options for you to still keep energy efficiency as a priority, even though you don't own the space. So definitely check into that. And then again, like the other part of the website, they walk you through different scenarios of what you could do. So just I'm going to conclude that part of Energize CT. Definitely check it out. The website is energizect.com. And then I'm going to go now to the Energy Assistance Program. This is also a Connecticut website, Connecticut Gov website. For this one, it's on their main CT Gov portal. And in the search bar, you can either put energy assistance or energy, and it will bring you here, or you can follow the link that we added in the chat earlier. Once you're on this website, you're going to see that there's sections that help you apply for the program. It goes step by step. It has the application in a PDF. Don't forget, for Spanish speakers on the call, that there's also a language button here that allows you to click on it. Like our guest speaker, JoAnne, mentioned, also remember that there's a list of different agencies near you, nonprofit organizations, that will walk you through this process and help you through this process. They'll assign a person to review this application, call you back if you have questions, if you feel a little overwhelmed by all the things that they're asking you to do in order to qualify. If you scroll a little lower here, I'm just going to scroll to the bottom. It divides the state into those different agencies that help you navigate this process. And then if you scroll a little further, JoAnne mentioned that there's a list of agencies that are assigned to help you do the applications. And here's the list. So there's Access Community Action Agency. There's Alliance for Community Empowerment. There's the Community Action Agency of New Haven, the Community Action Agency of Western Connecticut, the Community Renewal Team, and that's Hartford, the Human Resources Agency of New Britain, HRA, New Opportunities Team, that's Waterbury, more or less a Waterbury region, going to Torrington as well, and then Thames Valley Council for Community Action. So TVCCA, realize that there's a section of the state mapped out for anyone on this call. And then if you scroll even further, There's the phone numbers, the contact information. Now, as JoAnne did mention, these programs are there to help people in their homes, not businesses. But again, I promise you all that before the end of December hits, we will have another guest speaker to walk you through a business space and make sure that we connect you to the right agencies and the right corporations that can help you reduce your rate, save some energy, and save some costs. So Izzy, back to you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, I think that's it for today. That was a lot. That was a lot, and I think we're done. Okay, so everyone, again, reminder, we will not be meeting next Monday, but we will be meeting the following Monday talking about kindergarten start age. I hope that this was helpful to you guys. I know there is so much to think about when thinking about energy. And now that we know a little bit more too, this was a little bit more tailored towards you all as individuals, not necessarily as business owners. So hopefully that's helpful to you all as individuals. We'll also work on figuring out what could be helpful for folks who are in a commercial space. So that's going to be a little bit more research on our part. Have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful 2 weeks. I hope everybody is able to stay safe, stay healthy. I don't know, be rested. We'll see you guys all 2 weeks from now. And thanks so much for being here. Have a great day.
You haven't done the provider survey. I just put the link in again. We want to close it in a day or two. Thanks.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. Thank you so much, Meryl. And thank you, of course, Ava, Meryl, Sandra, and all our guests today. Liz, have a great day. And thank you to this community. You're the ones who make this happen. Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone.